Today we're gonna be working on something that I've been putting off for a really long time, but it's actually a job that I've been looking forward to, and I'm talking about cleaning the engine bay on the S behind me. I'm so juiced to get this done, man, because I've been waiting, literally waiting so long to be able to kind of tackle this project. I just haven't had the guts to really peel into it at the level that I want to see it get done at. So today we're gonna be pulling as much stuff out of here as possible to be able to get into all the nooks and crannies, all like the weird spaces kind of around stuff. So I'm gonna bring you guys along for the ride. So we obviously need the hood propped for this job, but I'm going to show you something that you may or may not know about that's going to make this process way easier. What I've done right now is I've actually put the hood in service mode, I think it's called. And so what you're basically allowed to do is you're able to take the hood prop out of its original location to get the hood crazy up high. This is like max clearance. I'll kind of like step out a little bit just to kind of show you how gnarly this looks. This thing looks so ridiculous. It's like something's broken on it. So now that the hood is out of the way, you can kind of get a really good idea for what we're working with right now. So I just want this engine bay to look right. You know what I mean? Like I just really want this thing to look presentable. I mean, I'm not like an engine bay car show guy, like that's definitely not my thing, but I do like to keep my cars clean. I've kind of said this before in a previous video, but if you take care of your cars, man, they will take care of you. So I kind of want to get back on that wave and I want to sort of maintain it, but all of it starts with getting a really nice, good, thorough clean to start. The last thing that I'm sort of considering pulling off is the engine torque damper. So this is an Ingalls, I think it's called the Stiffy engine torque damper. I'm just kind of wary about pulling it because I didn't install it. I mean, it looks super straightforward. I don't really see what could go wrong, but I really want to get behind there. So I think I'm going to pull it. So I just got done tearing down the engine bay and I want to show you kind of the progress I've made. So you can see that we pulled the intake, we pulled the coolant reservoir, as well as the horn. The horn is kind of just dangling right in there. We pulled the battery in the back as well as the trays. Oh, look at, dude, whoa. We also pulled this kind of gasket that sort of sits here on top of the bumper, as well as the radiator stays, just to kind of get under there. And we even pulled the engine torque damper, which was actually super simple, no issues there, so happy to report that. So I should probably start by giving you a quick tour of what the damage is. So starting here in kind of this upper right hand corner closer to the driver, you can see there's a pretty good amount of debris underneath the booster as well as on the booster itself. And kind of here to the side of the booster on the intake manifold, you can see that there's also this kind of trail of coolant is what it is. And I know that because we had kind of like an accident here a couple of months ago. This expansion tank that the coolant sort of seeps into popped one day on the freeway and it literally just shot everywhere. And you can actually kind of see it on the hood. You can also see there's a pretty good amount of just kind of dust and stuff that sort of sits on this little track that unites the frame of the car. I'm glad I pulled this too because this is pretty gnarly as well. You can kind of see there's a lot of dust and stuff down here. We also have some good old leaves just kind of sitting underneath here where the horn is normally mounted. I have it here kind of just off to the side. I'm also really stoked that we pulled the bracket for the engine torque damper because getting to some of this stuff would have been pretty hard without that. And then finally we have a little bit of action going on here from behind the battery. This is where the battery sits and we actually have a pretty good amount of rust. I would love to repaint this at some point. So I'm gonna get started by coating the engine bay in a thin layer of degreaser, and in the meantime I'm gonna start kind of vacuuming up some of the larger stuff that you can pretty much probably just grab with your hand. Okay, so I've moved a couple of other things here to kind of get a little bit more access to like these like really deep zones that are really just gnarly. I'm not doing a great job of showing them, but just trust me, they're really, really gross. So I have a diluted solution here. I have like a little brush here that isn't really for detailing, but I'm gonna be going to town here. Just kind of laying it on. So with everything removed, it's definitely easier to access. Definitely not easy, not by any means. So I'm pretty done just kind of agitating all of the dirt and sort of getting all of the major debris sort of out of the way. So I think I'm happy with more or less where it's at. Next, I'm gonna grab the hose. I'm gonna do my best to kind of keep it out of the way of anything that's electrical, but I mean, it's already looking a lot better. Literally, I mean, even this is a plus over what it used to be. Don't know why I'm nervous to do this. I've just never power washed the engine bay on the S. So I'm just like hoping I don't get anything dirty that's not, don't get anything wet that's not supposed to get wet. This is more fun than I thought it would be, so I'm gonna try to do this one-handed and not get the camera all wet. The only bummer so far is that the valve cover has definitely seen better days, and we kind of power washed a little bit of the coating off of it, so the paint just totally chipped off here with just the hose. And I mean, the hose is not that strong, so I think this was gonna fall off anyway. I really don't think that this is a product of anything else besides age. Okay, so this is one of the grounds, and watch what's gonna happen. Dude, look, all the sludge is gone. What? It's not perfect, but I mean, it's definitely, you know, a real bolt now. Day 2 on this project. I made a bunch of progress yesterday, and I know that it's pretty clean under here, and so I just thought it'd be funny to like film my reaction, because this will be my first time checking out the engine bay since yesterday, and I was pretty juiced on it, just kind of getting a quick glimpse at like the clean, just kind of painted surfaces. So I'm gonna pop this real quick and then oh, dude, look at this thing. Dang, it's so clean. Dang, even that spot down there is clean. Dude, I did a good job, man. Look how, dang, this thing looks rad. Oh man, such a bummer, but the rest of it looks so cherry. So cherry, look at this thing. Okay, so yesterday was kind of all about doing the majority of the work in terms of kind of removing all the dirt and the dust and the debris that's kind of chilling in the engine bay. But today I really want to take just a couple of extra minutes to kind of go over some of the details. So basically what I'm gonna be doing is I'm gonna take Ultimate Compound by Meguiar's along with a microfiber, and I really just wanna take 2 seconds to polish all of like the top facing surfaces, like this support here for the radiator, the shock towers, just kind of this intersection on the bay, as well as maybe even some of the areas kind of in the back, and maybe even the intake manifold are gonna be polished using this, and I'm gonna show you kind of the result. So I definitely see why people get into detailing and why like detailers are so passionate, because it's such a, dude, it's such, like, it's a trap, man. It's literally a trap, because some of this stuff when you start on it is so hard to stop, and you just want to get everything, dude. You want to get every single last little bit of, you know, of like dirt, grime or whatever. So I definitely see how people can get kind of wrapped up in detailing. Okay, so the last thing that we're gonna be paying attention to is the air intake. You can see that this is literally a huge intake, which is why when you pop it out of the engine bay, it looks like there's just a big gaping hole. But so today we're just gonna be worrying about the outside. Okay, so we have a little bit of sunlight right now, so I wanted to pull the camera out to give you just a quick glimpse at the engine bay before we start throwing stuff back into it. And dude, look at this. Look at it, it's so clean. It literally, it shines more than the paint does, man. That's so crazy. Like this, like cross member piece here is super shiny. These like little corner sections we got to be super bright. Also polished up the shock towers a little bit ago. Also, oh my gosh, I cannot explain how gnarly it is to get all the way in there with a towel and like stuffing your hand in there. Anyone that details these cars professionally, I want you to know that I feel you, man. I feel your pain, because that is just a poof. Dang, all the guys at the car meet, man, they better watch out, cuz I'm coming through. I'm about to be one of those guys with a super clean engine bay here pretty soon. Shoo, dude, look at this. Okay, so I'm really satisfied with how this looks so far. I mean, I'm super happy. I think it looks cherry. I think we can start actually putting stuff back in the engine bay. In there. Put these off to the side for a second. Dude, look how clean that looks. Dang, I haven't even put the battery in yet, cuz. Look at this. Shoo, look at that. Goes in there. I'm not gonna cap it just yet, and I'll show you why. So what we've got here is a new hose little setup for the coolant expansion tank. And I got this, I mean, for one, because look how buttery that looks. Like the old one's all yellow, and this one's all crispy and white. This one looks cool. So, I mean, one, it looks cool, but two, I was actually having leaking issues from this guy. So I'm not really sure where this is leaking from, but I have some like thread tape here to kind of seal it a little bit better, but we're gonna be using this one instead. So you can throw that one in there. Dang. Look at that, dude. So cherry, dude. Woo, nice and clean. And then have a new guy, just kind of, just chill right there. And we also have a brand new bolt. And this guy is going right here. This is where the horn goes. And if you saw, we were using kind of an ugly bolt. I think it's one of these, this guy. See, this is like the bolt I was using. Same thread and everything, but it just doesn't have like that shoulder that the OE bolt has. And it definitely doesn't have the same finish. Dang! Dude, with the airbox? Oh, so cherry. Dude, so clean. Look at that. Super, super clean, man. So happy with how this turned out. The airbox lid is super clean and tight. I'm seriously just so happy with how this turned out. Seriously, like, oh my gosh, it just looks so good. Like little things, like the space kind of underneath the hose. See, like you can kind of see the cross member from under there. Like knowing that that is clean and just kind of underneath is so cherry, man. Same to be said, kind of underneath that whole mess of like ABS and whatever else is kind of back there underneath the booster. It's still not perfect, to be honest with you, but it looks so good from here, you know? And I think perfection comes with time. This is definitely a process and it doesn't just kind of come overnight, but this is a really good foundation for right now. One of my favorite sections is kind of the battery here towards the back. Like, see that space back there is like just super clean and crisp. I don't know. Here underneath the horn as well, just looks super cherry and just like, you know, well maintained. I also took some time to kind of polish up the back side of the hood, and you can kind of see that it looks way cleaner now. Overall, super happy with how this turned out. I guess I should probably also address just a few things that I wasn't able to take care of that I'm looking forward to finishing up later on. So I actually decided on leaving the damper off of the car for right now because I'm gonna do a little bit of maintenance in a future video. So this kind of shroud that sits underneath the hood got bathed in coolant at one point. I mentioned an explosion of this guy, or an older version of this guy, a couple times in this video, and that's kind of what happened here. I just don't have a brush to go at it with this. The valve cover, as I mentioned, is not perfect. If you look really deep in there, you can see that there's some areas that are just impossible to hit without like a crazy long brush, or just like I don't know, more like advanced strategy. You saw the rusty battery tray that's kind of towards the bottom there, but that's cooking, baby, you know? Like, you just, that's just what it takes, man. It's just a process, it takes time, and that's just kind of the wave that we're riding, and sometimes you just gotta kind of hold on tight and ride it out and know that it's gonna get better with time. Anyway, super juiced with the result. So happy with how this turned out. I'm looking forward to getting this thing dirty again. Cool, man. I think that's it for today, so I'll catch you in the next one.